The United Kingdom has had a very long-lasting relationship with Nigeria, and I'm wondering if there is anything new that can be done to rev up this relationship in this ever-changing world of business, investment, and finance.
Thank you. You're absolutely right. The relationship is long-lasting, broad, and very deep, and we very much intended to stay that way. It's a relationship based on common language, common values, and a lot of history, of course. From a trade perspective, we want to really step up, and our Prime Minister set up the Department for International Trade on the back of the UK decision to leave the European Union, and that's a new department that's intended to do much, much more to support trade and investment with partner countries. What that means here in Nigeria is that we will want to increase our trading relationships and our partnerships, both in terms of strengthening exports and imports, but also investments. So investments into Nigeria, which ultimately are good for jobs here and for wealth creation, both in Nigeria and in the UK. So we're looking at this incredibly carefully. And we're trying to diversify very much in the way that the Nigerian government is doing, away from a focus on oil and gas, looking at other sectors, particularly agriculture and agricultural value addition, but also infrastructure, of course, health and education services, tech, and the likes.
What makes Nigeria very attractive to Britain when it comes to trade, investment, and finance?
Well, I think, first of all, the size of the market. It's an incredibly large market, and within that one market, there are very many different markets, in fact, so many different types of consumers that we can reach. It's a very big country. The opportunities to produce a lot more are significant from an agricultural perspective, and indeed we know that in the past Nigeria used to export huge quantities, whether it be on palm oil, for example, or nuts, or cocoa and other products. So the potential to do that is massive. And of course, from an oil and gas perspective and all the supply chains leading to oil and gas, this is a massive, massive economy that we want to be engaging with.
Now, in terms of revving up this relationship, what would be new in terms of this handshake with Nigeria when it comes to Britain in terms of trade finance? Is there anything new you bring into the table here?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that. So the UK has an export credit agency called UK Export Finance, otherwise known as UKEF. And UKEF has, if you like, an envelope of £750 million, which is several hundred billions of nairas, that's dedicated to supporting export finance with Nigeria. So that's basically to support loans so that Nigerian businesses buy British products, and provide guarantees so that when Nigerian businessmen or women take local loans, we can provide guarantee to them. And the incredibly exciting news that I'm here to share with you today is that UK Export Finance has decided that it will be providing its guarantees in Naira. And I think we are the first export credit agency to do that. What this means in practice is, if you are a Nigerian business and you want to buy products, let's say tractors from the UK, and you negotiate a deal with a British exporter that is selling you tractors, and you negotiate that deal in Naira, you can then go to a local bank, secure a loan from the local bank, and then the British government provides a guarantee against that loan in Naira. So for you, as a buyer, a Nigerian business, you do away with the foreign exchange risk. And because you have a guarantee from the British government, you are very likely able to negotiate better terms for your loan with the local bank here in Nigeria. So we think it's incredibly competitive and indeed quite innovative, a model that we're proposing here today. It's what we call buy British, pay local, pay Nigerian, and I think it's really, really exciting. And beyond that, of course, the terms of finance, export finance from our export credit agency are already incredibly competitive. So we provide loans for something from, on average, 10 years, sometimes up to 18 years for some products, like, for example, renewable energy. We also provide very competitive interest rates, and we only require what we call 20% of UK content. So you don't need to buy 100% British products to benefit from those terms. Provided the products you buy are at least 20% British, you can still get that extraordinary finance offer.
So the natural question is, why up the game? Why are you increasing your presence here in Nigeria, for instance?
I think, to be honest with you, it comes from a recognition that we've perhaps not invested sufficiently in Africa recently, and recognition amongst senior ministers in our government that they want to change this. So, what we want to do is work closely with our African friends, build markets for the future, and ultimately this is going to be win-win. We will benefit, as will Nigeria. There will be jobs created here, there will be wealth created here, and that wealth will be shared with UK businesses and Nigerian businesses. So it's a recognition of opportunities. Of course, we're also very alive to the fact that there are many reforms taking place here in Nigeria. The government's commitment to diversification is incredibly important. Progress on the ease of doing business is incredibly important. Progress on corruption and the like. That's all part of the picture, because for investors to want to come here, they have to know that their investments are safe.
Now, in what other areas would you be cooperating with the Nigerian authorities? For example, the authorities want to increase tax revenue. They're looking at pursuing illicit financial flows and make sure that there's a repatriation of funds.
So we're already working very closely with the government of Nigeria on this. You mentioned tax. The UK has a Department for International Development that has very large and successful programs to support increased revenue generation at the state level and at the federal level. On illicit flows, absolutely, it's a top priority, and we are taking this incredibly seriously. I know there's a bit of frustration at the speed at which this is progressing. Let me just reassure you that we intend to keep not a single pound of Nigerian money in the UK. But of course, as can be predicted, legal processes take a really long time to conclude, and it takes a long time to gather all the data and information to be able to take a case to its full conclusion before we can repatriate funds.
Across the African continent, are you looking at working with other organizations in terms of trade finance to make sure that what you're doing actually spread across?
Yes, African, definitely, but also the Commonwealth. So for us, the Commonwealth is a very big opportunity. You probably know that the UK and the Prime Minister in particular is hosting the Commonwealth Summit this year. It's been a while since the UK has hosted this, and for us, this is a huge opportunity. There'll be a Commonwealth Business Forum in London around the 15th to 17th of April. We hope that many Nigerian businessmen and women will be able to go there. We think that will be a huge opportunity for them to meet not just with Commonwealth businesses to strike deals, but also to be in contact with key players and very senior stakeholders from the City of London, London Stock Exchange and others. So we're really hoping for a meeting of minds and some business-to-business engagement and deals around the Commonwealth Summit in London in April.
But are you challenged by other relationships that Nigeria has, perhaps with the Chinese, whether it is building infrastructure, going into trade? What will be the unique selling point for Nigeria's former, I don't want to use colonial master, but trade partner in this regard?
Well, thank you. I think that's a good question. Are we threatened? No, I think we're playing in different leagues, if you like. So British products are known for their quality. They are long-lasting, they're resilient and durable. That's not to say that Chinese products are not. But I think we're talking about different types of products, and we are quite well known for still some of our machinery, some of our products that are actually top of the range. So it might not be as well known, but certainly that's what we can offer. And we offer also a very wide range of services: financial services, legal services, construction services, and advisory services, where we are incredibly competitive and perhaps the best in the world. So, each country has its own comparative advantage and its own markets and niche. These certainly are ours, and we intend to do a lot more to publicize them, because I think what's apparent in your question, and I've heard it from others, is that there are still somehow a lack of understanding of what we produce and what we have to sell nowadays. And I think that is an onus on us to do much better at communicating around this. So in my mind, this year is going to be about two communications campaigns. One here in Nigeria, reaching out to businessmen and women, reaching out to banks, reaching out to political partners in government and federal and local, telling them this is what we do, this is our comparative advantage, these are the products where you won't be able to find anything better, and here's our export finance offer to support it. That's number one. Number two, reaching out to British companies, telling them all the myths that you hear about Nigeria, some are true, but some are myths that needs to be busted. And actually, you can invest, and here's what it takes to secure your investments. And yes, you can sell, and here are the companies that are successful, and here are the frontier markets. So we need a bit of increased communication, if you like, and education in the UK about the realities of living in Nigeria on a day-to-day basis, and indeed a bit of communication here as well.
It's very interesting. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you so much.
We really appreciate that. And we wish you all the best doing business.